Alabama right now. Those are the things that I would work on to make sure that rural areas can thrive again, and unfortunately that's what we have not gotten from our current congressman.
Well, Joshua Segall and Congressman Mike Rogers, we certainly thank you both for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another high-profile race in this election is for President of the Public Service Commission. No incumbent here. Two candidates. Democrat and former Lieutenant Governor Lucy Baxley is facing the former leader of the Alabama Republican Party, Twinkle Andress Cavanaugh. Here's Jennifer Oravet with a look at where each candidate is coming from and what they see ahead for the PSC.
Democrat Lucy Baxley and Republican Twinkle Andress Cavanaugh are no stranger to politics, and the race is on to see who will preside over the Public Service Commission. The president of the Public Service Commission is primarily charged with setting rates for private utility companies by regulating how much they charge customers and the profits those companies receive. Both candidates are steeped in public service. Democratic nominee Lucy Baxley has been in the state spotlight since the late 1990s. She was elected as state treasurer for 2 terms, advocating the PAC college tuition plan. Then Baxley made history, becoming the first female elected as lieutenant governor, and went on to be the Democratic candidate for governor in 2006. Republican candidate Twinkle Andress Cavanaugh started her career in public service in the nation's capital. Working with the Republican National Committee, she aided leaders like former presidents Ronald Reagan and George Bush. She went on to become the first woman to chair the Alabama Republican Party and serve as senior advisor to Governor Bob Riley. Both candidates approach the office with detailed agendas. Lucy Baxley dedicates her campaign to regulating energy costs, improving business growth, providing new jobs, and searching for new forms of clean energy. Twinkle Andress Cavanaugh prides her campaign on keeping Alabama's utility rates the lowest in the nation, monitoring and regulating what she calls unnecessary federal regulation that drives up cost, promoting alternative energy, and ensuring accountability in the PSC. Twinkle Andress Cavanaugh and Lucy Baxley, 2 of Alabama's leading ladies, vying to advance the state as president of the Public Service Commission. In Montgomery, Jennifer Oravet, WSFA 12 News.
And we're so pleased to say both candidates for president of the PSC are here with us today. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure. We will begin with our opening statements, and Ms. Cavanaugh, you may go first, and you have 30 seconds.
Thank you, Kim.
Sure.
First of all, thank you all for having us at this forum. This is an opportunity for us to speak to the voters. I'm running for president of the Alabama Public Service Commission to serve the people of Alabama. When it comes to utilities, you don't necessarily have a choice, and therefore you need a voice. I want to be that voice for the people of Alabama, because if we can continue to keep our utility prices the lowest in the nation, then we can continue bringing better and higher paying jobs to Alabama. Thank you.
Thank you. Governor Baxley.
Well, I am so happy to be here, and I'm so grateful to WSFA and Montgomery Advertising and all of you people who did the great service of coming together to make this possible. So I come here as a figure that's been in state government for many years. I served once as treasurer and twice as lieutenant governor. And it is a great passion of mine to serve the people of the state of Alabama. So I plan to put that experience to work in my knowledge of state government to help our Alabama citizens in holding down the utility rates.
With our first question, Governor Baxley, you will answer first. We heard briefly in the report just before I spoke with you here that the PSC watches over utilities and their rates. Part of the public doesn't quite understand what the PSC actually does. If you will, please explain the primary responsibilities, Governor Baxley, of the PSC.
Well, the laws are in place as to how utilities can go about justifying a request for a rate increase. The PSC does not have the full authority to just say, I will control the rate you charge, because every one of you that's ever had your electricity blink for 30 minutes knows how important it is that we keep the services available for the people. But for years there has been a plan in place to scrutinize the cost of recovery of expenses and all requests for expenses from the utilities. And I am so grateful that the existing staff at PSC includes wonderful legal minds and accounting people who go over every little dot and spot of this in full detail. And with their advice, I will do everything that's within the powers of the laws of the state of Alabama and the powers vested in me as president of PSC to keep the rates down.
Okay. Ms. Kavanaugh.
This is an important election. This year you're going to go to the polls and vote for President of the United States, but you're equally important going to be voting for a position that directly affects your pocketbook, and that's the President of the Alabama Public Service Commission. Ms. Baxley is correct in saying that there are many laws that govern what the Public Service Commission actually regulates. But every time I make a decision, the decision will be made, how does this affect the people of Alabama? Right now, we're all suffering. Gasoline prices are high, groceries are high, and we've got to look at, is this within the law, or what can we do to stop the burden on the people of Alabama? One of the things that's driving up the cost at the Public Service Commission is the unnecessary federal regulation and legislation that's been passed. I spent close to a decade on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. I'll take that experience and I will monitor and I'll make sure we stop any unnecessary legislation that continues to drive up our cost here in Alabama.
Okay, with our next question, Mrs. Kavanaugh, you'll answer first. What will you do as head of the Public Service Commission to ensure utility companies recoup their costs while keeping the rates reasonable for residents?
One of the things we've got to do right now, there are 24 different locations that produce power for us. One of the things that we've got to do, 14 of those are hydroelectricity. We've got to look to the future. We can't constantly think about just tomorrow. And right now, having 14 of our 24 plants producing hydroelectricity, that's wonderful. That's an inexpensive power source. However, if we have a year like last year, when we have a drought, then there's a problem. We've got to use other sources that are more expensive to fill in the gap. So we've got to do something to have a plan. We can't continue this, it's great as long as the water's flowing, because we're going to have years where there's a drought. And this year is not the time to be raising the prices on the citizens of Alabama. So if I'm elected, we're going to look at alternative sources of energy, and we're going to have a plan. We're going to work that plan.
Governor Baxley.
Well, I think it's essential that Alabama have an energy policy that brings in expertise from people that can work together from the knowledge of the utilities standpoint of view and from the consumers to say, okay, let's look at a plan of where we're headed and what we need to make arrangements for now. But as far as what the PSC can do, that is regulated and controlled by the Alabama legislature. And my 4 years as lieutenant governor working with the legislature will equip me well to handle dealing with lobbying for and advocating for the powers that PSC needs to get things done for the people.